Hi guys, I'm back again today with another Buy Me a Coffee request, and today we are going to check out something. Well, you would have seen from the title, and if that seems interesting to you, would have clicked on this video. But yeah, so this is a requested video, and I will split it into 3 parts: today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. So before we do start, don't forget to subscribe, click the bell button, and let's get it.
Apparently at one point there was a planet-wide highly technical civilization on this planet, and something happened, war and or geophysical changes or both, and what we think of as our history, beginning with the Sumerians, coming up to the Egyptians, Babylonians, and now up to the Greeks, Romans, Western civilization, of course, is what we're primarily talking about. That is nothing but the remnants of an earlier prehistoric civilization. The evidence is everywhere. The round balls of Guatemala, the pyramids all over the world, in China, in South America, Central America, Egypt, the ziggurats in Mesopotamia. All of the evidence is there. But it's only been within about the past 100 years that we've had the technology and or the knowledge to know anything about it. We're still pulling ourselves out of the dark ages.
The Egyptian pyramids were designed to produce chemicals on an industrial scale.
Temples were refineries. That's where they refined the gold. They took the raw gold and changed the structure so that they'd have plenty of it to supply the priests and pharaohs of the country.
As a pharaoh, Moses would have known all of the secrets of the priests and pharaohs. Moses would have known all about the bread of life, made from the white powder of gold. The Egyptians called the powder mufkut, but they knew it was no ordinary mineral. Mufkut means "what is it?" but literally translated, the hieroglyph reads spirit, fire, stone, part magic, part precious mineral. Manna in Hebrew is also translated as "what is it?" Manna, a miraculous edible substance that God provided for the Israelites during their travels in the Sinai, and that was stored by Moses in the Ark of the Covenant.
Location in the Sinai Desert was actually a processing plant, a place where this substance was made, and this is why it was a sacred place for the pharaohs. On various stelae at the site, there are numerous inscriptions referring to white bread. Many believe that the white powder was something consumed by pharaohs in the form of bread cakes for its spiritual and powerful side effects. Maybe the Ark of the Covenant, which was created by the Israelites whilst camping out in the Sinai Desert, was also filled with this substance.
I wish that our breads and cake are, what is this?
Say
Spiritual?
that monatomic gold wasn't just ingested, but it has powers such as levitation and superconductivity. Then Moses asks the Israelites to consume it.
When the people of Israel saw it, they said to each other, "What is it?" Manna.
Why did they put drugs?
For they did not know what it was, and Moses said to them, "It is the bread which the Lord has given you to eat." And they would take this powder and they mold it into little cakes and stuff, and they'd eat it. This was the manna that helped them survive in the wilderness all this time. Was this the white powder of gold? Ground it to a powder and made the children of Israel eat it.
It says it's palladium. After palladium reads platinum. After that, as the various boiling temperatures were reached, came ruthenium, rhodium, iridium, and at 220 seconds, osmium. Every one of the platinum group metals was in this substance.
Ormus, manna, and so on, and is believed to have a superconducting, high spin and low energy state.
It's a monatomic superconductive anti-gravitational substance. Used to be used for feeding the light bodies of Babylonian kings.
If a star twinkles in the heavens, it affects the superconductor.
5% of the dry weight of the human brain and nervous system is constructed of materials in the ormic state.
This material, when we analyze using thermogravimetric analysis on the iridium, rhodium, platinum, palladium, gold, and silver, what we find is all of them superconduct. It will flux flow within your body, and you literally will develop an aura that is maybe 50 times what you have right now.
So is it
and you will
good
appear to
for
glow
us?
when you walk in the room.
Is what we're saying.
You will be one with the Godhead, as he said, all knowledge, all past and all future is there in the vacuum. And when you have this superconducting body, you literally are one with the Godhead. You are one with the vacuum, and you don't have to read a book. You don't have to study anything. You have all knowledge and all understanding. You literally can read the minds of other people without talking. You don't have to eat again. All you need is a very minute amount of water, and you literally can exist without aging.
What?
For 800 to 1,000 years. This is why the gods came here to earth, according to Xian, to get gold. It was very important to their society and their life.
Do you think that aliens are plotting to come and get our gold, our minerals, because they know about this? Well, I guess we found the solution to immortality then, I guess. Maybe, maybe not. We will see.
Their food. They needed the gold.
It was said that this was the food of the light body. They said we all have bodies, but we don't just have physical bodies, we have light bodies. And just as we feed our physical bodies, they said, we have to feed our light bodies so that they will be nurtured and grow in the same way. They have to be as fulfilled as the physical body. And they call the light body the car. Why do we only use a fraction of our brain power? Why don't we use the rest? Well, it's there to be used if we knew what to do with it. We need the trigger. We need the unlocking device. These materials are it. They're what was used to feed the car, the light body, to give anti-aging, to restore the youth, to take the pharaohs into the afterlife or whatever.
If you don't believe humans can transform into angels, you've got to think again, because that's the whole premise of this mystic teaching, is that humans can be transformed into angels. That's what the Essenes were all about. Angel theophany, they call it. Angelomorphism, morphing into an angel. It's the foundational premise of all these ancient mystic schools, is that humans can transform into angels and ride this beam of light into the stars. And what they are fundamentally describing here is this transformation of how we become these celestial beings. The Essenes sought this bodily and spiritual perfection in order to transform the earth into a place of light and love, but also to cross over the boundary between earth and heaven.
Many of the greatest spiritual adepts in history were fully aware of this phenomenon and were specifically working towards it. You may even be unaware that each spiritual tradition has its own name for the rainbow body. This is just the name the Tibetans gave it. Taoists call it the diamond body, and people who attain it are known as immortals. Most of time of Jesus, probably going all the way back to the time of Atlantis, and even earlier. As recently as 1998, Tibetans have been reported transforming into a rainbow body. David Wilcock documents some specific cases in his books, The Synchronicity Key and The Source Field Investigations.
So what they're saying, people, is that your consciousness, the atoms of your consciousness, can literally travel in space-time. They can go anywhere they want to go, anytime they want. The problem is your physical body has to stay here. Now, the ancient Egyptians, I think, understood this better than anybody. They said we have a physical body that we must feed physical food to so we can grow and become what we're meant to be. But they also said we have a light body, which they call the Ka, and they said you have to feed your light body so it can grow and become what it's meant to be. Well, when you feed your light body, you're feeding your consciousness.
Well, whenever I talk about consciousness and like spirituality, I always say it's good to exercise your mind, body, and soul. But not to this extent, obviously, because the rainbow body, not to the rainbow body, because I've never heard of it until today. I always say that because obviously your physical health is important as much as your mental health, because without mental health, you wouldn't have physical health and probably no spiritual health, right? So 3 in 1. In the sense of like, if you want to work out your body, you have to work out your mind, and you have to work out your spirituality. For me, at least, spirituality for me means subconscious, yes, but it is your faith, right? So whatever it is that you believe in, if you are a Muslim, if you're a Christian, if you're a Jew, if you are a spiritual person, whatever it is that your faith lies in, you also have to exercise that part, because faith is a necessity. If you don't have faith, it's kind of like, what is your purpose, right, in life? But this extent seems so, the rainbow body seems so, I don't know how to describe it. It feels, is it attainable? Is it even real? Because it seems like death. It seems like that death plus, but I don't know what plus means either. I don't know what to categorize it as. It feels like you die, but you die, I don't know what it's called, let's listen anyways.
Well, when you feed your light body, you're feeding your consciousness. You're actually feeding it with the asymmetrically deformed high-spin states of atoms. But these atoms in your body literally interact with the DNA. They literally interact with the cells of your body. They actually interact with the, what do you call them, carbules? And when you understand that when they are sufficient density in your body, so that quantum coherence occurs, that literally everything begins to act as one. And they are capable of totally bending space-time. Totally bending space-time, where even your material body disappears.
That's literally
5
dying.
months. We gave him 2,500 milligrams for 5 days. And what happened is the Kundalini started. He was just laying there in bed after having sex. He's just nice and relaxed and enjoying the afterglow, and all of a sudden here comes the Kundalini. He never had it before.
Awakening.
Whoa, what's happening here? For a woman it might have been all right. For a man, this is really confusing. There's no erection, there's nothing, and yet it's going on. And he was all confused. He's embarrassed. In fact, he wouldn't tell me about it first. He didn't know what was going on. Anyway, he said it got to happening more often and more often and more often. He actually got up where he was having the Kundalini experience 10 times a day. He said, Dave, you just be walking down the street, and all of a sudden here it come. He said, you didn't work on it at all. I mean, it wasn't meditation, it wasn't introspection, it wasn't anything. It just happens without even working. I believe, and this is my personal opinion, but I believe that you continue to take this material until you can get the Kundalini energy to sustain itself continually. So it doesn't end. It's just continuous all day long, all night long. And what happens is, at that point, you literally pass through it and out the other side. At that point, you literally achieve this condition of perfect phase conjugation in the body, everywhere. And literally, your whole body begins to function as a single atom. Okay, at that point, you have shrunken your molecular body down and climbed inside the atom, where time goes backwards and time goes forward the same. That this perfect superconducting body has literally become a single atom. And you are now an immortal. There is no time anymore. And this phase conjugation wave is what you must achieve. You must get enough of this in your body.
Maybe it is true, right? Because maybe it is true. But it's gonna be rare for people to achieve. If it is only a couple of people who have, then they're special. But I don't think it's attainable to the mass. Because it's kind of like on the brink of conscious and subconscious. It's on the brink of death and alive. It's, I don't know, it's like somewhere in heaven and on earth and probably hell at the same time. So it's kind of like, it's I don't know, it's hard to describe or understand, right? Because they said in a video a while ago that Jesus had this or attained this. Well, it's probable. Maybe it's only the really woke people who will get enlightened, and the woke people being like the special ones, the prophets, the people who were messengers who were sent, right? They will obviously be different from us, because they know things that we don't know, and they have different purposes, right, than us. So I feel like it's, if this is true, then this is going to be for 1 in a billion, right, type of situation.
Perfect phase conjugation, and literally you become the perfected being. And you must pass through the Kundalini and out the other side, and there's no sensation anymore of the Kundalini. You literally have achieved a state where there is no time as we know
Not
it.
even going to try it.
There is no
Not
time
even
forward,
going
there is no
to.
time backwards. You literally become timeless. And from that point, people, where there is no time, there is nothing that we know in this material world can explain that condition, except you can see everything from that perspective. You can see the future. You can see the past.
Doesn't sound fun to me.
You can know the hearts and minds of others. It's just,
it doesn't sound fun at all to my human brain. Knowing the future and knowing what people are thinking of, not fun. It just sounds like more responsibility and more stress and more anxiety, right?
it's like up on top of a mountaintop where you can see in all directions from that point. There's just a knowing that you have at that point. Really starts you thinking. If you really have faith in this, climb in the wagon. Anyway, moreover, as this high-frequency resonance becomes aligned with the biotransducer system of the body, the 7 chakras can be completely transfigured into the divine image. Literally, you can become the perfect Melchizedek priest, or the Melech Zedek, or, if you like it, the enlightened being, the immortal. Okay? That's what you can achieve. At that point, all the chakras disappear, and you literally become the quantum one, the singularity, the I am. One in the Godhead, one in the body of Christ, one with the cosmic consciousness, one with all knowledge and understanding. You know, the Hebrews, they talk about the descent, the 333, the 666, the 999, back to the 12, 12, 12. That's the cycle they talk about. And we descend to the 666, the mortal man, the animalistic man. That's as far away from 12, 12, 12 as we can get. And then the reascension is the 9, and then back to the 12. It's like a clock face, make the whole cycle. The falling away, and then return back to God. They also talk about here the Merkabah mysticism, which a lot of you know about, the Merkabah, love, spirit, soul. That's actually the Egyptian word, love, spirit, soul, Merkabah. Okay? You know, in the Dead Sea Scrolls, if you read this carefully, the Dead Sea Scrolls Uncovered, you'll find out that the Essenes believe they had angels living in their community. And you find out that John the Baptist was an Essene, that many of the disciples were Essenes, and that Mary was an Essene. But in fact, Mary continued in the temple as a dove, educated there, and received her food from the hand of an angel. This is from the forgotten books of the Bible, from the time of Christ. That Mary was fed by an angel. She was actually raised as a high priest. You ever notice that Mary always has this halo about her when they always paint Mary? And Christ always has this halo?
Anubis, which is the black jackal, which symbolically represented the digestive system. All right. It's referred to as the manna, food of the gods, food of the spirit, bread of the presence, semen of the Father in heaven, the golden tear from the eye of Horus, that which issues from the mouth of the Creator.
Not the word you want
and
to
in
be
Egyptian
associated
passage,
with.
You literally took into your body the semen of the Father in heaven. You were born again as a son of God, not a son of man, and you now were thought of as a god, not a regular man. And the Pharaoh was considered a god, and they looked upon him as a god, but he had gone through the Egyptian rite of passage. The Melchizedek priests supposedly could read people's minds, they could see the future, they knew all things. Anyway.
Why would you want to
The
know
reason
those
that I
things,
believe
though?
gold was important,
Unless, of course, that's your, like, that is your, how do you say it is, like, that's your purpose, then that's fine. But if you're a regular being and you want to reach that height, like, why? That's my question. If you want to, let me know why in the comments.
because in ancient times they understood the importance of the white powder gold or the anatomical gold to life itself. When Jesus was born, they took him frankincense and myrrh and gold. They didn't give him a brick. They gave him anatomical gold. And Mary Magdalene was the daughter of the king of Jordan, and she was also fed the anatomical gold because it works to open our minds. It's a necessary material we need to have to function. And what we're seeing with our working with Ormus materials now is that people are chronically short of these. Tibetan priests are capable of attaining a certain level of theta and alpha for 20 minutes at a time. And Hudson found that people that were taking Ormus without any long-term training on meditation were capable of taking the same theta and alpha ranges for 3 to 4 hours.
They were using this stuff in ancient Egypt.
Very, very old, yeah. There's actually an Egyptian hieroglyph for what they called showbread. So the actual hieroglyph just looks like a little dish with a high cone of powder in the dish. In the Bible, for example, when Moses went up the mount to collect the tablets, the Israelites collected all of their gold together. They fashioned a golden calf and they were worshiping it when Moses came down. Well, it says exactly in Exodus 32, verse 20, it says, Moses smashed the calf to a powder. He strew the powder on the water and he made the Israelites drink of it. That's exactly what it is. Moses was part of the Egyptian royal family, and they had been trained as alchemists for thousands of years because these materials were available to the high priests and to the pharaohs.
Okay.
All right. So why would they be only the high priests and the pharaohs had access to this?
Well, because they were the elite, I would imagine it's the same as today. How come a certain percentage of the elite have everything and the rest of us don't have very much? It's part of the hidden knowledge that's been passed in leaps and bounds, through history, and today it's starting to become known again. All kinds of improvements and all kinds of things. And we have a little girl in Florida who's been taking Ormus, and she was born with cerebral palsy. So, the fists were clenched, the arms are clenched, and so on. By the fourth day that she'd been taking it, her mother, then a friend, and 2 teachers commented about the improvements in her speech. And within 3 weeks, her hands were open 80% of the time. And
This is
today she's
reminding me
learning
of what is that documentary on Netflix? I forget the name, but I forget the name of whatever it is that they take for enlightenment, supposedly. There's this drug, right? They go to the woods. There's a tribe there who does it, and they get into this like heightened space. Some people do get bad reactions. Some people, everybody has different reactions, obviously, and it's supposed to like cure like a lot of things as well. So yeah, it's kind of like reminding me of that documentary I saw once upon a time.
She can draw, she can paint inside circles and squares, her motor control's developing, and I mean, she's the only person in the world taking this stuff with cerebral palsy that I know of. So, in the U.S. today, cancer is a $1.3 billion per day business. If you cure your client, you lose a customer.
At the same time, I touched on their use in the medical arena, in the field of cancer treatment particularly. And more especially, I discussed the gravity-defying attributes of these exotic white powder substances, their ability to literally bend, distort, and manipulate space-time. Type 1 superconductors, these are the ones that we're primarily interested in.
Even if I can say that, now I'm going to be banned.
They function perfectly because the forward and reverse spin electrons pair up. They pair up as mirror images of each other. They become duplicates of themselves, like clones. But they don't destroy each other. They become single-frequency photons, but they're no longer particles. They become light-bearing waves. And the secret of these monatomic substances is their ability to attract and store and dispense light. They will attract and store any amount of light. You can keep pouring it in. Light's an amazing substance because unlike gases and solids and water, if one took this room and closed up all the apertures and windows and filled it with water, there would be a point at which it's full. If you tried the same with gas, there would be a point at which it's full. You can compress the gas and keep going, but there would still be a point at which it's full. With light, not so. You can keep pumping any amount of light into a space and it will keep on taking it, rather like a dimmer switch. It's the same with monatomic substances, and it's from that their energy ultimately becomes obtainable. Well, it's interesting because scientists in recent times have actually called this material the light of life, because it resonates with DNA on the same frequencies. It's a light wave.
And ultimately, they tell us that our divine spark, this spark of the God light, if you will, has the power to morph the human body into its next higher dimension or higher level form. In the Judeo-Christian tradition, they call this the seraphim. And as I explored last night, the ancients believed that the human body can be shifted or changed, morphed into its angelic state, especially that of the seraphim, beings of pure light and pure love. I'm also going to be comparing them with the Tibetan rainbow body of light tradition. The Tibetans believe that the human body is designed to be spun into a vortex of energy that ultimately manifests as 5-colored rainbow light, leaving behind only hair, toe, and fingernails. So think about that your body is designed to be spun into this vortex, and the whole thing can be transmuted into light spontaneously, instantly.
So what happens after you transform, right? Do people just say, "Oh, where did Rookie go?" Or do they feel like do the people who still are human or who knew you, do they file a missing person report, or do they assume you're? Well, I don't get it. That's my part. Like, if you just disappear like that, right, in thin air, and let's say your hair and fingernails are still there, maybe some people would think that you were murdered, right? So they might try to look for you in that circumstance. What, like, do people see you still? I don't get it at that point. I don't really get what happens. Like, I get what happens, but I don't get how people, how will people know what is happening? Or do you become, are you still human? Is this metaphor? Let me know. I'm so confused.
To the Tibetans, we shall be, in fact, exactly like the resurrected Christ. But if you don't like to follow the Christian tradition, then what they're saying is that we will be exactly like the angels, the seraphim, the watchers, and we will also be human, just like Padmasambhava and other Tibetans who have attained the rainbow body of light.
So
that is our goal
form,
right there, according to all of these spiritual traditions.
Zogs meaning perfection and Chen meaning great. The word Dzogchen implies the great perfection, highest attainment of Dzogchen meditation, the rainbow body. Dzogchen deemed as the ultimate and surest path among the 9 vehicles that lead to emancipation, which is the Tibetan Buddhist practice that is said to give rise to the rainbow body phenomenon. It's very well documented in many Eastern teachings, and in one documented case, hand impressions are visible outside the Asura caves, even today in Nepal, traced to an 8th century Indian Buddhist master.
When you go to Tibet, you learn of what's called the Great Perfection tradition. And in this tradition, the Tibetans teach that the human body was designed to be transformed into a being of light. It matches very closely the energetic pattern of what we see in the Tibetan Tankas of the rainbow body beings. Is Osiris, in his resurrection, a rainbow body being? We can't answer that definitively, but we can follow that trail and see that perhaps the ancient Egyptians, in their descriptions in the pyramid texts and elsewhere, are describing human transformation into lightning-like celestial beings. And what they meant by that is the same thing the Tibetans mean when they describe the human transformation into rainbow body beings. And that is the same thing that the Essenes mean when they talk about humans becoming perfect humans.
Basically.
Again, the rainbow body teaching in Tibet is referred to as the Great Perfection. And his resurrected name, Osiris, took on the name Wenenefer, the one who continues to be perfect. But the basic idea here is that our human body can be spun or accelerated into a vortex, or, a flying saucer of energy that ultimately manifests as 5-colored rainbow light. Even the colors are the same. And these are traditional colors that this mystic Islamic dancer is displaying here. Even the colors are the same. This new body is called the rainbow body of light, or the glory body, and it resembles a misty or luminous cloud, which is why you see Jesus flying around on a cloud in Second Coming imagery, and why he's in the ring, because it suggests or tells us that he has attained this higher level of awareness. So I connect the Tibetan Lama in the rainbow ring with Jesus, and also the ancient Sumerian depictions of the Anunnaki in their winged rings. Those are probably not hardware flying saucers, although they could be. More than likely, we are dealing with higher consciousness beings who have manifested a more vibrant or light body.
Transformation of the physical body into what's known as a light body. Some people think of this as enlightenment. When regular people pass away, which is 99.9% of us, let's face it, they undergo a physical death and a resulting reincarnation process eventually. The usual wheel of life and death, or the wheel of karma, that we all go around and round. However, those who are able to create this rainbow body are reborn into a higher dimension of existence, no longer needing to reincarnate to Earth. This is the best and optimal situation, and perhaps the ultimate goal of nearly every spiritual adept. It's basically going to another level and leaving the birth, death, and reincarnation cycle on the Earth plane. In fact,
I'm getting it.
Many of the world's greatest spiritual figures in history were fully aware of this phenomenon, and were specifically working to achieve it. You may even be unaware that almost every spiritual tradition has its own name for the rainbow body. This is just the name that the Tibetan spiritualists gave it. Taoists from China call it the diamond body, and people who attain it are known as the immortals. In the religion of Sufism, the rainbow body is called the most sacred body. The yogis, who I identify the most with, call it the divine body. In Kriya Yoga, which was passed on to us by Babaji, it is known as the body of bliss. Now, even the ancient Egyptians from thousands of years ago knew about it and called it the luminous body. And I can continue on giving more examples here. The Gnostics called it the radiant body. It's even mentioned in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, where it was referred to as the golden body. So if all these ancient spiritual traditions had a name for it, and many of them were separated by thousands and thousands of miles and centuries, even thousands of years in time, it seems very unlikely to me that the rainbow body is not a true phenomenon. Yet,
okay, now that we're gonna end there and we'll continue tomorrow. Now that he put it into perspective, it makes sense now that he's explaining, because I was like, what do you mean your body and the only thing left is your toes, your nails and hair? So I thought that, and they did say your physical body will deteriorate. So that's what is confusing me. But then I feel like it might be a metaphor or something. I don't know, but still, let me know in the comments, right? But if it is kind of like not really a reincarnation though, it's more of like a death and rebirth, but then it's not necessarily like death forever. It's kind of like you do die, but then you resurrect, and like he said, it's going to be 99.9%. Like only 0.00001% of people will ever reach that, because it's crazy, you know, for a lot of us to get to that point of divinity or awakening or enlightenment, right? Yes, we do awaken, some of us, in our small little ways, but on that scale, first and foremost, as myself, I wouldn't want to. If it was true, if I was chosen to, then I would, but right now, no thank you. Yeah, that's we'll see tomorrow what else do we have in this topic. Thank you guys for joining. If you like this video, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.